My name's Wayne. Some of you may have seen me before. I hope so. I've been kicking around Hollywood a long time. I've made a lot of pictures out here. All kinds. And some of them have been westerns. And that's what I'm here to tell you about tonight. A western. A new television show called Gunsmoke.
Well, thank you, Duke, for that, riding on by here and saying howdy. Everybody here on the Great Outdoor Net tonight. This is Bob, W6CJX, and I'll be your net control operator for tonight's Papa Great Outdoor Net. If you can't tell, we're going to talk about Western movies, movie sets, movie ranches. But we'll get to that in a minute. This net meets every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. This is a direct-to-net. So please go through net control at all times, and your cooperation is always greatly appreciated. Before we get started, let's pause for any emergency or priority traffic. Okay, hearing nothing but crickets, we will continue with the net. Stations with emergency or priority traffic can come into the net at any time with a double break, and net control will respond appropriately. Papa System is an open membership-supported system in the Southern California area with coverage from the Mexican border to Paso Robles and from Channel Islands to Las Vegas, Nevada. If you are a visitor to the Papa System tonight, I invite you to go to papasys.com, that's PAPASYS.com, register as a guest. With your guest registration, you'll have 45 days of free access to the Papa System. At the end of your guest access period, we'd love for you to become a subscribed member and continue to use and be a part of the Papa System family. However, all amateurs are welcome to participate in our daily, weekly, monthly Papa System nets regardless of their membership status. Again, this is the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. All right, I'm going to get those crickets back in their cage, at least for a little while. It's kind of like herding cats. Well, it's herding crickets. I don't know, something like that. Hope everyone's having a great first day of the week, Sunday. We start our week here Sunday evenings on the Great Outdoor Net. Had a good weekend. I guess it was pretty warm in some areas. Wasn't too bad here. Tolerable, I suppose. And got a few things done. I got a few errands and things like that. And so getting caught up on stuff. And was looking forward to another good week ahead. All right. Well, before we get into all the gooey stuff, let's do some announcements for the Papa System this week coming up.
Here are the Papa System weekly announcements for the week of July 14th. The Papa San Diego Luncheon. Papa will be meeting in person on July 19th at 11 a.m. at Cocina del Charro in San Marcos. Cocina del Charro has arranged for a special buffet. $24, including tax and tip. We will need a minimum of 25 attendees for this price. Please purchase your buffet meal tickets via PayPal on the Papa website 1 week ahead of the luncheon. We will have a special presentation from Darren WB6USN on a new repeater for the Papa System. We will have ham license testing at the San Diego Luncheon at 10 a.m. Please pre-register on the Papa webpage or go to hamstudy.org K6SML. For any questions regarding the test session, please email Patrick, K6SML@papatesting@live.com. Papa Quick Start Program. In conjunction with our test sessions, we have a Quick Start Program for newly licensed technicians. Our Quick Start Program is designed to get you on the air as soon as your new FCC license arrives and help you understand how to use your new radio on the Papa System to communicate on the air. The Papa System will provide you with a pre-programmed UHF handheld radio at no cost to you and assist you with technical and operational issues as you learn more about ham radio. More details are available at the test session and on the Papa website. Papa HF Net on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m., our host, David KO6BAF, will be calling for check-ins on 40 meters, at or about 7.210 megahertz. If you are interested, click the link to add your name and call sign to David's Papa HFNet check-in list on the Papa website. All this information and a whole lot more can be found on the Papa website at papasys.com.
All right. So I encourage everyone to go to the San Diego Luncheon this week. It should be a lot of fun. What a great place to have a luncheon down there. And sounds like they have some really, really, really good food. So, okay, back at it. And let's see, what do I have? So what I want to talk about tonight, I thought was kind of fun. We might have touched on it. I mean, we're going on almost next year, 5 years, but we probably covered some of these things. As you know, there's like several ranches all around the United States that are pretty much iconic filming locations for Western movies. Some of them are like Bonanza Creek Ranch, which I've never really heard of. I think it's in New Mexico. And that features, a large Western set. And, of course, we have Melody Ranch Motion Picture Studio in Santa Clarita. That one's pretty famous, too. Done a lot of stuff out there, and it's known for its extensive backlot in Western Town. And other ones that are pretty popular, or were, Paramount Ranch. I used to love to go there and watch them film Dr. Quinn, Medicine Women. That was kind of like at least a once-a-week thing. I'd take my daughter there after school, and we'd drive over very close to where we lived in Woodland Hills. And now it's actually part of the National Park Service, which it was then, I think, too, a little bit. And we don't want to forget Corriganville. That's a movie ranch out there in Simi Valley. So if you've been to any of these places, let us know. We were fortunate as a family to get to go to Iverson Movie Ranch, which probably isn't as noted as most people think of, but they did do like 3,500 or more productions there, and some of them were real long-running TV shows like The Virginian, and they also, let's see what they have, Bonanza, some episodes, and Gunsmoke. I think Gunsmoke was actually part of the town. If you're going down the 118 freeway at Topanga, there's a mobile home park, and I was told by someone, the nephew of Iverson, his name was Bob Sherman, not to be confused with Bobby Sherman, rest in peace. But, yeah, they said that at one time was part of the original Gunsmoke town, but then they moved it around after that, as they do in production. And so, there was also the Big Sky Movie Ranch, and there's one particular ranch that became famous for something other than filming Western movies. Can you guess which one it is? So that'll be the question for tonight. If you know which movie ranch, and I didn't mention it, is famous for something other than being a movie ranch. So without further ado, I should say, let's see who's out there, and we'll talk some movie sets. You can go into ghost towns if you want, kind of thing. RJ's done a few of those. There's Bodie. So let us know where you've seen and where you've been. We kind of know a lot of them, but if you've been to some of these and what you thought of them and that kind of thing. So let's take some check-ins. This is W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. Please come now.
KC6ESW. 6 Alpha Quebec, Quebec.
KC6ESW. 6 LLB.
Whiskey 7 Victor Yankee Zulu. KM6
Kilo Oscar 6, Juliet Charlie Alpha, Jeff.
Kilo 6, Papa Foxtrot November, John.
Kilo Alpha 1 November, Michael.
Johnny.
November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima, Hal, Papa 9.
KF4 PQH, Echo Link.
Delta KM6 ABH if I didn't get in.
W6 MES.
You get KC6ESW.
Okay, I'll go down my list. That last station, though, not Mike and not RJ. What was the? I didn't even catch the call sign at all. Where was the last station? You just checked in a second or two ago.
Whiskey 6 Mike Echo Sierra.
I know, I got you. Mike Echo Sierra. Okay. So let's go through this list, and we'll try to move it along. And I think I got just about everybody. And I got some partials, but I know who you are. Most of you anyway, so that works. So let's start off with Mike, KC6ESW, who's out in Santa Clarita. So, there's a lot of production work out that way. So what you got for us, Mike, and welcome to the Great Outdoors.
Good evening, and thank you. Happy Sunday. W6CJX, KC6ESW, and very, very warm here today, but not as bad as it has been. So we're kind of enjoying the cool down. Yes, indeed, Santa Clarita is just a hotbed for production. Not just now, but back in the day. Of course, one of the first actors and filmmakers to produce out here was William S. Hart. And you can visit his park, named after him, as well as his mansion, which now is under the auspices of the city of Santa Clarita. It's no longer a county park, so it's going to be a city park now, and that includes the mansion as well. So definitely a very historic piece of property and park in the film world here in Santa Clarita. And you mentioned out of the gate, of course, Melody Ranch. That, of course, the home of Deadwood, as well as Westworld was filmed there, and numerous commercials and what have you, Western films, owned by Gene Autry originally, and then sold to the Zayuzhe brothers years ago. And it's just an incredible studio lot there, big sound stages, and again a Western town as well. They used to have the Cowboy Festival there every year, but that lot is so busy that a lot of times people like HBO and Showtime and whatnot have a lock on it, so nobody can use it for anything else but their production. So they've since moved that festival over to Hart Park. The Saugus train station, as well, was also a well-known film spot for Charlie Chaplin back in the day, and a movie, many movies filmed out here, not just westerns, but the famous movie Duel with Dennis Weaver, where the truck is being chased by a school bus, or vice versa, throughout Santa Clarita, and certainly a lot of rich film history here. Great topic for sure, and one I know a lot about. I haven't been here since 1985. Certainly a lot of filming goes on here. Things are good, recuperating from a 10-day trip to Alaska, to a cruise, as well as some time in San Francisco. Now we're home, just kind of adjusting, getting over a small cold, but other than that, things are good. So, hey, I'll toss it back to you, Bob. Hope you and Caroline are well, and we'll talk to you a little bit. W6CJX, KC6ESW. Oh, by the way, may I take a stab at the other ranch you mentioned, that you didn't mention the name, or you want to wait on that?
Well, I had a feeling it probably wouldn't be too hard to figure out, so you might as well give it a shot.
I won't give the name out. I know what it is. I know what it is. But I will say that a very crazy guy made this property famous in the just west of Chatsworth. That's all I'll say. Back to you, Bob. KC6ESW.
Boy, I'm glad I didn't use that as a hint. That's pretty good. All right, we'll let it go, and maybe somebody will take another stab at it. But, yeah, you know who it is, or you know where it is. Definitely kind of an interesting, always wanted to go visit that, but no. All right, well, thank you, Mike. And let's say hello to Adrian, KK6HNG. Good evening, Adrian, and welcome.
Good evening, Bob, and everybody on the net. This is Adrian, KK6HNG. Yeah, movie set. The whole world was looking on those movies, whether Western or not. So I am listening all the way because I didn't know there are that many movie sets, ranch, whatever you want to call them, just so close around here in California. So yeah, listening. And yes, I've seen some of the ghost towns. But the one I wanted to see, and I did, was, because I knew it was close to where I was living, was the set of MASH that is in Topanga Canyon Park. And I have to tell you, I was very disappointed what I saw. almost nothing left there. I mean, just a few super rusted carcasses of jeeps, and that's about it. And other than that, yeah, I've seen also Sedona, where I know some of them were made. Also, I think in Arizona, some places were done, some westerns especially there. So anyway, very interesting subject there. So thank you, Bob, for doing the net. KK6HNG.
Well, I'll definitely second that as being disappointed although I have seen some recent pictures of the MASH set, and I believe they brought some extra, we'll just call them props, out, because there really wasn't much there. I think there was a military, like a van type of thing. It was probably an ambulance. We'll just call it an ambulance. And then there was a part of a Jeep that was just like barely there. So it's a little bit of a hike. We tried riding our bicycles out there, our mountain bikes, and ended up being, it was all rocks, so we had to pretty much carry our bikes most of the way. But anyway, yeah, that was definitely a little bit of a disappointment. But I think they've added some stuff to it because it is such a great place. And I've always enjoyed when you see the reruns of MASH and seeing them with the helicopters coming over those mountains. You can kind of recognize those mountains being there down at the Malibu Creek State Park. Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, I thought it would be kind of a fun thing tonight. It kind of mixes state parks, national parks. And not far from there is also the Paramount Ranch, which was awesome, very awesome. But that burned down too. But I think they're going to work on maybe saving it and bringing it back. Let's say hello to Dale. November 6th, Alpha Quebec, Quebec.
This is Dale in 6AQQ. Good evening. It's 69 degrees in Tustin. Anyway, Pioneer Town is the one I've been to. That's the only one I've been to. Back to that N6AQQ. Thanks for doing it.
Well, good to hear you, Dale. I got 73 in the shack. So that's inside. And I got a couple little fans running, so yeah, comfortable. I would say I'm doing all right. Good to hear you. And, yep, there's a little bit of history, especially here in the North San Fernando Valley with all the different ranches and of course, the Lone Ranger and quite a few shows were filmed out here. And you can see that when you watch some of those old ones, you can just go, well, yeah, that's Stony Point, and there's a bunch of rocks. I've seen those before. It's up in the Santa Susana Pass, so very, very cool. Thank you, as always, Dale. And let's say hello to Logan, KD6LLB.
Good evening, Bob, and everyone on the net. This is Logan, KD6LLB on Papa 4 Saddle Peak. And, yeah, don't really have that much. I haven't, I mean, every now and then I've been to some places. Paramount Ranch, I used to live in Agora Hills, and we used to walk our dogs around that area pretty often, at least once a week. And, yeah, that was actually a really cool place, and I could take pictures and send it to family members, and they could say, oh, that was where something was filmed. And anyway, I really liked that place. I liked the fact, and they did still film things, and it's a shame that it burned, but I guess that happens. And one thing that really caught my attention, the first time I visited Lake Mono Lake, rather, somebody mentioned that that's where they filmed High Plains Drifter, and I don't even know if that's a true fact, but I bought it at the time, and I'm not going to look into it, but I thought that was pretty cool. High Plains Drifter was a movie that I just happened to really like when I was a kid. And as far as the MASH set, the first time I visited the MASH set, I didn't know I was going there. My friends that I used to mountain bike with didn't, on purpose, just didn't clue me in to what we would see. And I don't know where we came in. It wasn't through Malibu Creek State Park. We did not have to carry our bikes over the rocks. We rode in and came in and, stopped and I looked at it, and there's a Jeep, and there's the hills, and I sort of, I don't know, I had some confusion, and I finally got it. I had no idea. Anyway, I think that's the way to experience the MASH set. There wasn't a lot there. There was a Jeep, you know, there was, I don't remember the particulars, but recognizing that, you know, there was a tent or two, and it was enough to recognize it, and I was pretty blown away. I really liked MASH when I was a kid. So anyway, and I can say they have a really nicely restored ambulance that they put in. I think the last time I was at the MASH set was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, and they did have a new ambulance, and I think they are adding things, so they may have added some things since then. And, one last comment. As I have often pointed out, this net is very good at reminding me of things that I probably wouldn't have thought of if somebody hadn't jostled my memory. And Mike, KC6 ESW, mentioned the movie Duel with Dennis Weaver. And I think I saw that on, like, late-night TV at some point when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure I actually watched it with my mom. We just sat there and watched this. That is a very, I don't know how it holds up today, but when I was whatever age and I saw that, that was a pretty interesting movie, pretty suspenseful, pretty tense, and well done. And I don't know if I still feel that way, but I did when I was a kid. All right. Thanks for doing the net as always, Bob, and it's good to hear everyone, and I'll be listening for the rest of the net. KD6 LLB, back to net.
Well, you know, the same thing back to you as far as saying, I had about 40 things that came to mind when you were talking, and now I don't even, well, I do remember a couple of them, but let me go with the last one, which was, we know Spielberg, what he's capable of doing in movies, but can you believe that was his first attempt at doing a movie? And I think he hit a home run. That was very cool. You never saw the guy in the truck. It was a truck, big gasoline or oil, probably gasoline hauling truck, not a school bus. But you never saw the guy, you know. But the way it was all set up, all edited together, beautifully done. It really was. I'd watch it over and over. Yeah, so it would hold up today. Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to go see if I can go find it. Anyway, thank you, Logan, as always. And, yeah, I think they put up some, like a netting thing with maybe like a picnic bench. I saw some pictures just recently. Maybe it was when I was doing some research for the net tonight. I saw that, I think. So it was, they've worked on the MASH set a little bit. All right, real good, as always. Thank you. Great job on the DRT net tonight also. Now, there's a guy I have a feeling is going to know a few of these areas and probably could have been a special guest tonight. So let's say hello to Mike, K7VYZ. Good evening, Mike, and welcome. I think it's K7VYZ. Are you there, Mike? Oh, it's Michael. Can I call you anything else? Are you there? Maybe it's NYZ. I forgot already. All right, he can pop back in at any time. When he's actually in the business, so I figured he'd been to a few places, just a few. RJ, another person who's been in the business, KM6AVH. Welcome, RJ.
Well, that's an easy question to answer. Blazing Saddles. Of course, Blazing Saddles was my favorite Western. Vasquez Rocks. I don't think you mentioned Vasquez Rocks. And so there's another location. I'll try and compress this. Back in the day, I was contracted by 20th Century Fox to bring out a bunch of monitors to the MASH set, which was on the Fox lot, the 20th Century Fox lot, where I played back a 1-hour documentary from the PBS station in Chicago.
and it was titled A Day in the Life of Shooting MASH. And it was a 1-hour show that I played back into a bunch of monitors for the entire cast and crew of MASH. And so that was on a stage at 20th Century Fox. I don't recall the stage number. It was that long ago. But anyway, so that's it for me. And yeah, I've gone to quite a few ghost towns and whatnot, and that they're always a lot of fun. Just a ton of pictures, endless amount of pictures. At least for me, because that's what I'm interested in. Anyway, KM6AVH, back to net control.
Well, thank you, RJ. Yeah, it's it's the fun stuff. I was always a production fan. I guess, I don't know. I didn't care so much about the talent, the movie stars, and all that, TV stars. I just cared more about the lights, camera, and the action. I guess I suppose sound. We don't forget sound. But yeah, that was one of the things I thought of when Logan was talking about Paramount Ranch. Is they actually have one of the barns that are there has it's got its soundstage inside, and so we were able to tour that a couple times. They were really nice to everyone that would come when Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, was filming there. I think they filmed it on 16 millimeter, if I remember right, and then they digitized it after that. They put it through one of those digital things after they edited it all together. But very cool, and they used to have some great scenes, and my daughter just loved that show, and of course going there to see it being filmed is really, really cool. All right, thank you, RJ. And let me try for Mike one more time. Is it K7NYZ? I keep trying to look back on my log, but I didn't see it. Michael, are you still there with us? Okay, he might be in between repeaters somewhere. He's usually traveling when he's on the radio. Okay, let's say hello to Jeff, K06JCA. Welcome, Jeff, and how's it going? Welcome to the Great Outdoors.
Thank you, Bob. Kilo Oscar 6, Juliet Charlie Alpha, Jeff coming in on Papa 3 this evening. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to bring up one that's not L.A., and it's not a ranch technically, but it is outdoors, and it's the site of many westerns and other things filmed. Up in the Sierras, west of Lone Pine, there's an area called the Alabama Hills, and as I mentioned, a lot of Western movies were filmed there, as well as television shows like Bonanza and The Lone Ranger, etc. And it's in an area that's kind of the gateway to Mount Whitney, as it's called, just west of Lone Pine. And it's worth a visit for folks that are into that sort of thing. Anyway, I thought I'd bring that one up. 7-3 to all. Back to net control. Kilo Oscar 6, Juliet Charlie Alpha.
K6 Fury, checking. Hey, Tom. I got you down. I'll take you next because I know you gotta get up early in the morning. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, Alabama Hills. That was one of them too. I couldn't write them all down, and I did a little research on a lot of these. Of course, no one's mentioned this Mystery Ranch that was probably more famous for something else than movies. It was a famous movie ranch that wasn't really famous for movies. So let's go with Tom. K6COZ, I think, just we'll give him a pass, a hall pass. Go ahead, Tom.
Yep, sorry, Bob. Sorry, I just wanted to check in. I didn't know. Yeah, it's been a long day. I tried to check in last weekend, but I guess the old All-Star didn't make it. Hey, thanks for having me. Checked in Midway yesterday. It's been a great weekend. We've been out in Palm Springs and used to live in Arizona, and a lot of history out there. Old Western style places to shoot film out there. So there are a lot of ruins, Apache Junction, and yeah, just the Southwest is full of awesome places where they've done a lot of movie shoots, and I'm just proud to be a part of the Southwest and the experience. So thanks for having me, Bob, and get me in control K6CZ.
Well, I'll take care of you there, Tom. I don't know if anybody else has to get up as early as you do in the morning, so we all feel for you there. I mean, dark 30. In fact, it's like moon 30. Who knows what it is at that time of the morning, 3:30 in the morning. So you have a great day tomorrow. So thank you very much, Tom. Good to hear you, and I hope everything's going well down there, and sounds like you've been having some fun over there in Palm Springs. And let's go to see John, K6PFN. Welcome, John. And how's it going tonight?
Good evening, Bob and Annette. This is John, K6PFN. Great topic. I really have nothing to add. I enjoyed the trivia question about the infamous ranch. I'm maybe compared to some others, Annette, I'm new to California, 27 years in, but yeah, I enjoy the I don't know, the bad stories as well. But anyway, I'm here to listen because these are really, really cool stories. I'm not in the industry, and I just love hearing about these film locations. So anyway, thanks for the topic. Back to you. This is K6PFN.
Well, great to hear you tonight, John. And yeah, we could go on for 3 or 4 nets, all the different locations, and that's why I just picked a few that that I was familiar with that's around here in our area in Southern California. But you get over to Tucson, you've got the OK Corral there. You didn't think the name of the town now. Jeez. Anyway, Tombstone. Yeah, there. Well, is that the town? I don't know. Well, we've been there. I can at least say that. We saw Boot Hill. I think it's the real Boot Hill. The one at Knott's Berry Farm isn't. Of course, Knott's Berry Farm. I grew up like at Knott's Berry Farm, so I was in that western area a lot when I was a kid. I just absolutely loved it. The only thing it wasn't crazy about was when the gunfighters would come out and start shooting their guns and without any warning. And that's probably where I got my sudden fright syndrome from. And we can talk to Carolyn about that one. W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net, talking western towns, western movie ranches actually, and anything in between that you've visited or seen or haven't mentioned. I haven't heard the actual name of the mystery ranch, but maybe we'll get to that, and then I can give you a little info on that. All right, John, you take care. I have I think it was a Michael with an A at the end of your call sign. That was the best I could do. So let's see if you're out there, Michael, with an A at the end. I wish I had more than that. I was writing as fast as I could. Okay, well, we'll take another round after this anyway. Let's say hello to Johnny. Here's Johnny, K06COJ. Johnny's in the house.
Hey, good evening, Bob. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Good to hear you and everyone out there. So, yeah, Paramount Ranch. I've been out there several times. I've been invited a couple times to some barbecues out there with the local union folks, the sound guys and camera guys, and that's always a fantastic time. And I've unlocked a few people's keys out of their cars out there on Paramount when I was driving tow trucks back in the 90s. And Corriganville. Actually went out there with Tom Corrigan and my uncle. Our family's been friends with the Corrigan family since the early 60s, 1962, 1963. Also Corrigan's Restaurant here in Thousand Oaks, which unfortunately is no longer. And sat down at the bar and shared a few drinks with my uncle and Tom Corrigan, and unfortunately I never got to meet Crash Corrigan, but we relived old times. And there's some movie history here in Thousand Oaks, in Wildwood. I forget which program that they were filming out there, but there were more than one, and we got a bunch of pictures, old pictures back then. Now it's all residential housing and a park area for Wildwood Park. And anyway, great topic, Bob. Appreciate you running the net and having me on. This is Johnny, KO6, COJ, back to net control.
Well, thank you, Johnny. I don't know if I've ever been to Corriganville. I know where it is. I mean, I know how to kind of get to it. Oh, then we also had what was Little House on the Prairie was done in Simi, too, up there on the hill. I remember people used to... what did I do? When I worked for U.S. Rentals, which is now United Rentals, back in the 80s, I was going to a computer scientist school. Anyway, I doing deliveries to a lot of movie sets and a lot of studios, because they were either doing construction or they just needed an extra generator or a pump or something. I don't know. So that was probably the funnest part of that job, was being able to deliver and or pick up rental equipment from the different locations. That was really neat. So I did go up there at that time. So whatever year that was, back in the 80s, I guess. It might have been earlier, but it's when I was active. Oh, very good. Yeah, sounds like you've got a good history there with the Corrigans, and I'll have to make it out there, see if I can see it and check it out, or whatever's there, I know. Okay, well, thank you, Johnny. I did want to thank, before I forget, since I'm thanking everybody, I want to thank Sam for last week, W6SJM. He was a great guest. I think that was an excellent net for photography, especially for photographers, because some of it I understood and some of it I didn't. But that means I got a lot more to learn. And he was speaking everyone else's lingo that's been doing photography. But yeah, hopefully everyone got a chance to see some of his pictures. Just outstanding. See if Hal's out there. N6HAL. Good evening, Chief.
N6HAL, Hal. Thanks, Bob. Good evening to you, too. It's the Spawn Ranch, what you were looking for?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think everyone, well, I don't know if everyone knew. Yep, you got it. SPAHN. I spelled it wrong when I was researching it. Go ahead, Hal.
Yeah, I've never visited there, but I was quite familiar with it with my background career a little bit. But I haven't visited too many of the other local ranch areas where they've filmed, but I did visit one up by Zion in the canyon. Before you get to Zion, there was a ghost town up there that was used for many westerns. It said I didn't have a name of any of the westerns, but I've also been to a couple of other interesting movie venues, one being Hangar 51 at Walker Air Force Base in New Mexico, where they filmed part of the Roswell incident movie. And continuing, there also used to be a western ranch out in Ocotillo Wells in the desert between San Diego and Imperial counties, where they filmed a few various not-so-popular westerns, and also a motel building that they used for a motel from Vegas, and where Bugsy Malone hung out. And they finally blew that one up, though, so that's about the extent of my movie venues. But another weird ranch, similar to the Spawn Ranch, but more on the paranormal side, is the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. N6HAL, back to the net. Thanks, Bob.
Well, thank you, Hal. I was just thinking that when you said another ranch that was kind of weird, and that came to mind. Yeah, that's where all the paranormal and, I don't know, UFOs and all kinds of things seem to gather out that way. But a funny place for sure. Yeah, it's good old Spawn Ranch. You know, when I worked and lived mostly in Canoga Park there for a while, you know, we always heard about it. And, of course, that was back in the 60s when that all took place with the Manson family. But just was, like, so curious, wanted to go up there. And then I heard people say, no, don't ever go up there. There's people there, and they'll shoot you if they see you. They don't like looky-loos and all this stuff. And I was like, but it's so intriguing, but I never went. I guess it was like a 55-acre ranch, and for a period it was a dairy farm, and later they made it into a movie set during the era of Westerns. And then after it kind of declined from being filmed, and in the 50s, the owner, George Spahn, established a stable for renting horses for riding on the varied acres that are around there. But it became known and mostly famous in the late 20th century as the primary headquarters for Charles Manson and his cult followers. Scary stuff. But there's a couple of movies out there that kind of portray what actually happened, and I think that they actually filmed at Corriganville, as far as what I read earlier today. Little history. There you go. Okay, W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. Always a pleasure, Hal. Good to hear you. And let's say hello to Ron, KF4, PQNNH.
Well, hello, Bob and Annette. This is KF4 PQH on a one-week-long road trip, actually in Fort Knox, Kentucky. I actually saw the vault from a distance today, and we're on a base. I'm staying in a thing called Carlson Recreation Area, which is just outside the base. But my grandson is graduating on Wednesday from ROTC Advanced Training, so we're out here to celebrate that with him. Good to hear from everybody out here. So, being an East Coast guy, I never got to too many movie sets. I did visit Leo Carrillo's hacienda one time out there in Carlsbad. If you don't know who he was, he played Pancho on the Cisco Kid. Remember? Hey, Cisco! Part of the chase scene from The French Connection was actually shot through my old neighborhood in New York. And I've seen a few ghost towns along the way in our travels over the 10 years on the road, but none that I'm aware of that were movie sets. But good to hear everybody out there, 7-3. And this is KF4 PQH coming from Fort Knox, Kentucky. Back to net control, 7-3.
Wow. Fort Knox. Well, I guess it kind of fits in there with the Western theme. It is a fort. And did they have to check your pockets when you left? I don't know. I'd be afraid that, I don't know. What's that in your pocket? Well, we won't do that joke. Anyway, but good to hear you, Ron. And, I guess it probably would have been even easier to do where isn't there a movie ranch or a movie location, or where, they've filmed. I'm just hoping we can keep more production in the Southern California area. I know it's been rough, and, there's Canada and Georgia and quite a few states are just like, dropping all their fees and, free food and anything. Just come, make your movie or television series here. So, we're in Hollywood. This is Hollywood. So we all, even if you live down in San Diego, you're in Hollywood as far as the movies go, right? I made my point. I'll get off my stool now. Okay. Well, thank you, Ron. And let's say hello to Michael, or Mike, Echo Sierra, MES. Are you there with us? Give us your name, location, and anything you have, and rest of your call sign, since I didn't mess it up a little bit. And we'll welcome you to the Great Outdoors.
Well, thank you very much. The name here is Mark, Whiskey 6, Mike Echo Sierra. And I grew up in the West Valley, and I remember two ranches. And I grew up at DeSoto, just north of the freeway, the Ventura Freeway. And right across the street was a giant expanse of land from Victory Boulevard all the way to the freeway, and from DeSoto to, Winnetka or I don't know, a bunch of blocks. And it was the Warner Ranch, where the Warner family did all their stuff. And I remember one time when their barn caught on fire. It was probably about, it was about a quarter mile from where we lived, and it was very interesting. They came and put it out, but that was interesting. The other ranch, of course, was the Spahn Ranch, very, very famous for things, and I haven't been in it. I have driven by it. There's a road that comes by and sort of the north side of it, northeast side, and you can drive by, but you can't tell anything anymore. Everything just looks, you'd have no idea of who was there. And it's been many, many years. But once upon a time, I was delivering a job for my wife to a house in Chatsworth area, and I was helping the person, and these two girls came over in all these black clothes. With each of them had a buck knife on their right-hand side, and they were really serious and had a very different feel to their personalities than you would ever imagine. And I knew that it was a good thing that I was there while this guy was up in the tree picking his oranges or apples or something. And sort of they went away finally, and then I left. But yeah, that was a strange thing. And then I asked somebody else about it. I said, oh yeah, that's those two of Charlie's girls, and they still have a house across the street and a kid and blah blah blah. It was very interesting. Anyhow, thank you for letting me talk. You guys have a wonderful evening, and hope to see you guys out here again. This is Mark, Whiskey 6, Mike Echo Sierra, and thank you for all the great memories, guys.
Well, hey, Mark. Hey, don't be a stranger over here. I don't think we've met on the radio. We'd love to have you. You got some good information. Plus, like I said, Carolyn spent most of her life in the Valley. My wife, Carolyn, KK6LMC, and I spent quite a few years there myself, too. So, and I will... And that was, when you started talking about dressed in black with a buck knife, I kind of thought, or did they ask you if you wanted to go meet Charlie? Oh, gosh. That just kind of gave me a little shiver when you said that. So, all right, let's see. I guess I am out of check-in, so let's see who's out there. W6CJX is Net Control.
KI Mike Alpha Tango, Matt. Good evening, Bob.
Kilo Echo 6, Foxtrot, Victor November. Jim is lurking.
Kilo 6, Delta Victor, Ellen.
Alpha Bravo 6, Mike Bravo.
We got you, Jeff. Okay, in that round, I got Matt, K3MAT, KI6LOV, Steve. I got Jim, KE6FZN, and Ellen, K6DV. I'm going to call KK6LMC because there's a little story I want her to tell. So if she's out there, and AB6MB Jeff. So let's start off with Matt. Good evening, Matt, and welcome. How you doing? And what you got for us tonight?
Well, good evening, Bob, and everybody else on the Outdoor Net this Sunday evening. Hope everybody had a great Sunday. The weather was fantastic. Yeah, movie ranches, great topic. I know that Melody Ranch in Newhall has been mentioned already, but when that show aired many years ago on HBO, Westworld, our family became totally enamored with that. Just absolutely loved the production, loved the actors, loved the locations, and I wanted to go to as many spots as possible. Some of it was filmed in Utah and Canyonlands and a lot of that area, but they filmed some of it at Paramount Ranch, and I go hiking around Paramount Ranch, so a lot of that's all been rebuilt after the fires. So they filmed some of that there, some of the shootout scenes in the town, but the actual saloon in the main town was all at Melody Ranch in Newhall. They also filmed the show Deadwood there, which was just phenomenal. But they've been filming movies there for 100 years in Melody Ranch, and Sue is the owner. We actually went and got paid for a tour of that whole place. So we got to go down the main street and in a lot of those saloons and buildings, and they've been used for so many different things. They've got all the different layers of paint and wallpaper on them, and she just told us a lot of history about it. It was really neat. I'm not sure if this has been mentioned, but sticking with the theme of the show Westworld, one of the wide open, rustic areas, the foot of the mountains, just rolling mountains and beautiful, grass-covered as far as the eye can see, and rolling mountains and canyons, and there's this house kind of on a plain with the mountains in the background. That was Dolores' house. That was filmed at the very north part of Simi Valley, and it's called Big Sky Ranch, and it's north of the 118, right at the foot of the mountains. And also Little House on the Prairie was filmed there, a lot of other shows. But that's just a long road that goes all along the foot of those mountains in Simi up there. I think the off-ramp is Tapo. And so anyways, needing to get in there and see that, I paid for a tour at the one in Newhall because we had to see it. And it was worth every penny. It was only $50. But anyways,
I did tell a little white lie, and I called the guy at Big Sky Ranch, and I said that I was a production scout for HBO, and that we were looking at for something for this new show and this and that. And so anyways, he took us up to that house that was shot for Westworld, which was the Dolores' house, where she grew up. And I've got all the photos and all that kind of stuff, and it was just absolutely stunning and picturesque. So to be able to walk through that house and be in all these places that you've seen on TV was really pretty cool. Anyways, hope to go to Utah one day and see Canyonlands and all the incredible scenery that they shot out there. Great topic. Kilo 3 Mike Alpha Tango. Back to net control.
Wow, that's awesome, Matt. That's to be able to actually go there and take the tour, and yeah, I like how you go total white lie. You know, it's amazing some of the places you can get into if you act like you know what you're doing, or pretend you are someone. Sometimes they don't question it. I know that used to happen at some of the concerts and things we used to go to. But if you look like you're lost and you don't know what you're doing, then they'll question you. So maybe not anymore. That was probably before 9/11 and all that stuff. But no, that sounds great. I bet you got some great photos. And to be able to go and see the actual sets and things. And kind of going back, we do have a Western channel on DirecTV. Can't think of the name of it now. Anyway, they do show a bunch of old Westerns on there all the time. And they are cool, you know, and some of them are, I guess, you know, where you see those, the mountaintops, the tabletops, like is that in Montana, Wyoming? So they did a lot of that out there because that's not around here anywhere. So they must have went out that way to do some of those great ones. And when I was doing some research for this a few days ago, I was looking up old clips where I got the John Wayne thing for the intro there. And I looked up Butch Cassidy and Sundance, and that was just such a classic movie. Had a little bit of humor, a little bit of romance, and a lot of good gunfights and stuff. So it was very, very, especially when the train blows up and he goes, "You think you used enough dynamite?" Blew everybody down, including the robbers. Oh, W6CJX for the Papa System. Great Outdoor Net. Thank you, Matt. Very good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Steve, KI6LOV, welcome.
All right, very good, Bob. And how interesting is this tonight? And I have a story. I'll try to keep it brief, but you know my stories. That ties in Big Santa Anita Canyon with the subject tonight. When I first started going to my cabin, there was the original pack station owner. His name was Bill Adams, and he was an old guy, and he was so cool, and I have stories about him. But he had one of his nephews named Dennis used to come in every summer and help him out, and he learned how to be a packer, and he used to like to dress in the old Western garb, okay? So now we have Dennis growing up, and he ended up buying the pack station from his Uncle Bill in the 80s. And so Dennis and his wife Jody ran the pack station right up into the late 90s, and because of being a mountain packer guy and a cabin owner as well and running a whole pack station, he had a lot of skills about doing repairs and being a handyman and all that kind of stuff. And when he sold the pack station, he and his wife moved out, I think, to San Bernardino County, and he applied and got a job at the Calico Mining Ghost Town as a maintenance guy and like a Western actor. And he used to walk around the town when all the tourists were there, and he'd have his old-timey toolbox, and he'd stop and fix up a hitching post and talk to the tourists and things. So I just thought that was so cool. What a thing to do in your retirement. So anyway, I'll give it back to you, Bob. This is KI6LOV.
What a cool story. You know, that's something I always kind of inspired, kind of wanted to, well, I guess it goes back to going to Knott's Berry Farm so much as a kid. We went to Disneyland, but it was more expensive. And back in those days, they didn't even charge you to get into Knott's Berry Farm. You could just go in and walk around. And then if you want to go on a ride or something, you had to pay for that. But I just love like the Calico mine train ride. I mean, that's what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be an engineer on that train so bad. I used to love that. And like I was talking about the gunfights. And, you know, being these character actors, I did a little bit of that on a very, very small scale down here at Woodlake Elementary. There in Woodland Hills. When our daughter went there, they used to have a fair each summer, spring, whenever it was. And we had a jail. Like you get those where you could pay, you can buy a ticket, probably 50 cents or something, and have someone put in jail. And we'd dress up with our, you know, I still got a bunch of cowboy western wear. And I had my Ruger 22. Now picture doing this now at a school grounds, bringing on a real gun. Now the only catch to that is that I removed the cylinder, and because it was removable, and I took a 35 millimeter film cartridge, took the cap off, put foam inside, drilled a hole through it so that the pin would hold it in. And when you put that thing in the gun, now there's no chamber or no barrel, whatever they call that, or the bolt, where the bullets are put. Anyway, so it was completely safe. There was nothing, you know, there wasn't one loaded in there, nothing like that. And, you know, we didn't point it at anybody, but at least it had that real look. And a lot of the guys actually had the black powder guns. So, you know, those are like, well, those are impossible to, well, they work, but just they don't have them, you know, it's not like having regular bullets in your gun. So I just had a blast with that. We go over and arrest one of the fathers, you know, one of the mothers, one of the sons, you know, I let brothers and sisters, and then take them to jail, and then we'd eventually let them out. So I did a little of that. That was fun. It was very small scale. Didn't even get paid. It was all volunteer. Thank you, Steve, for that. That sounds great. I've still never made it to the Calico Ghost Town. I swear one of these days we'll make it. Let's say hello to Jim and check in down in Cerritos, KE6FVN.
Good evening, everyone. This is Jim in Cerritos, KE6FVN. Well, I had a chance to watch the original Top Gun movie with Tom Cruise and Pete Mitchell, where they had filmed a portion of their movie on the Naval Training Center, San Diego, which is where I went to boot camp. And I had a chance to go into two of those buildings. And this was a few years after they had filmed the movie. Then I had a chance to talk with Bob Ringwald, the father of Molly Ringwald in some of the movies back in the 80s. And then went to high school in the mid to late 80s with a classmate. Never knew her. But many years later, found out when reading the website for Criminal Minds that Kirsten Wagner, who plays the Penelope Cruz on Criminal Minds, went to the same high school around the same time I went there. KE6FVN.
Well, you've definitely got some bragging rights there. That's very cool. Well, when you were talking about Top Gun, I thought, well, I wonder if that had anything to do with the naval base, and it sure did. Well, good. I'm glad you had something for us tonight, and always great to hear you. Even if it's a hello, and how's everybody? We love that too, as you know. You're always welcome for that. But you had a good one tonight. I like it. All right, I'm going to keep going. We've got a few more to go. Let's say hello to Ellen, K6 Delta Victor.
Good evening, Bob and Annette. What a fabulous topic. I can toss a little fact in the ring, mostly that the cowboy is a myth and a legend based very loosely on historical data. Most of the cowboys after the Civil War were gentlemen who had no future in the South any longer, and so they came west because they needed work, and they were joined by the Mexican vaqueros and some of the Spanish fellows who started to work for the large ranches, because beginning in the time after the Civil War, beef was super, super important all over the country, and it all mostly came from Texas. So these cowboys who worked on maintaining the fences and the ranches, they just worked hard, and it was a rough life. The myth started in the early 1900s when the dime novels started glorifying this loner person, man with a six-gun who believed in values and all of that, and it's a myth that survives today because it's what we would like to think. But in truth, a cowboy is, and I can speak from that experience, I benefited from it mightily. I was an officer in the Women Artists of the West, and we did a show at Hart Park. Now that's a ranch up in Newhall that belonged to the actor William S. Hart, and he monopolized the films of the silent era up until about 1917, building on those dime novels that were all over the East Coast romanticizing this lifestyle. And after William S. Hart, along came, and William S. Hart had a pinto horse named Fritz, and he's buried at Hart Park. That's a great day visit if you want to go see the place. You can schedule a visit and see inside the house. We had an art show there with the Western art, and it was quite successful. Anyway, after William S. Hart, who shows up at Tom Mix, and the flamboyancy of his outfits and his smoky eyes, boy, he just took the world by storm, and off we go up until John Wayne and the rest of them came along. So we have this lovely American, totally American myth and historical data about cowboys. So that's all I can offer to it. I myself just know about Hart Park because of our intimate relationship with it during the time we had our Western Art Show there. So back to you, Bob, and the rest of the net. Great topic. Some of the sets are awesome. I still want to know about the one that for Cleopatra. I think that was done in the Carrizo Plain. Anyway, back to you, Bob. K6 Delta Victor.
Yeah, I might have to take up a new hobby, become a movie buff. Because there's a lot of stuff I know and a lot of stuff I don't know. And the more that I don't know, the more I want to know. That makes sense. I'll have to listen to that later. Anyway, wow. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of history. And I heard you did a wonderful job last night on the ladies' night. So thank you for doing that. Give Carolyn and I some nice time and her a little break, and enjoyed it. So that was very much a good time. So thanks again for that. And let's see, speaking of Carolyn, let's see if she's out there. KK6LMC. Come on in if you have anything to add to the net tonight.
Hi everybody, it's Carolyn here, KK6LMC. I hope Dale is still out there. Dale said that he had been to Frontierland, and so Bob and I have a really best friend. I've known him for over 50, 60 years. One of my closest friends, I'll have to say. And he lived in Fontana, and he said, you guys got to come out here and go to Nickelodeon Pizza, because he knows how much I love pizza. And so he said there's all kinds of things here. They have gunfights. They've got, it's like a little ghost town there. So we had the time of our lives there, 2 or 3 times. We kept going back. And there was a bar inside the pizza place, so it was pretty much dry by the time the 3 of us got out of there. And then you could throw somebody in jail if you wanted to. So there was a jail there. And then in the evening, when the evening came around, there was a car show. So all these gorgeous custom cars are going down this long street. And during the day, we saw the gunfight. That was awesome. And then I think Bob got some kind of leather belt or something at the leather little, it's like an arts and crafts area, too, that people sell stuff. So we looked around at the leather and the silver and all of that, and it was just a really fun time. And so I just thought I'd say that I had been there before, and I don't know if it's closed now or not. He doesn't live there anymore, so to find out, but maybe Dale might know if it is closed down. Yeah, everybody loves this topic, Bob, so you'll have to revisit it again in the future. KK6LMC, I'm clear.
Let's say hello to Jeff, AB6MB.
Hello, Bob, and thank you for doing the net. Interesting subject tonight. I've never been on any of the sets or anything like that, except for my sister and I and my girlfriend at the time went over to Tombstone, Arizona, and we had a great time there. And it was just a lot of fun. It's looks pretty. The area that they still around. They kind of looks pretty actually spooky at night. We were standing there at night, and there's nothing going on the street down there. And looked at my girlfriend and said, "Do you want to go down there?" I said, "Nope." I said, "Neither do I," because it was spooky. But so we had a good time there with some tours, and so I highly recommend that you check out Tombstone, Arizona. It's really interesting, done really well. Birdcage Theater is a must-see, and then there's some other stuff that that's there. And we stayed at the hotel, went to Boot Hill. Yes, it's there, and just generally had a really good time. And the temperatures were actually pretty nice, when we were there. So with that, Bob, I'll turn it back to you. So thanks again, AB6MB.
Thank you, Jeff. We did go out to on a trip. I had a business trip, and I took Carolyn. That was when Southwest had Friends Fly Free, so that dates it back to whenever that was. And so she was able to go, and I've already got the car and the hotel. All we needed was the airfare, and so she came with me, and we had a really great time. And we did go to Tombstone, which was a really fun trip. And of course, it rained, and we'd had all those kind of. Probably it was the winter time, but still it was one of those major downpours where you just had to run under cover, and we didn't even bring jackets or anything. I think we bought probably a sweatshirt or something. A great place, yeah, definitely Tombstone, and seeing Boot Hill and all that there. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's part of history. I know there's other truths to some of the things that have happened over the years, and maybe cowboy was more glorified than maybe it should have been. I don't know, but I still enjoy some of the westerns. And on a trip that I took to Spain when I was working and doing my international travel, I went to Madrid, and they had a restaurant there called Spaghetti Western. And so they basically had a big screen in there playing the old spaghetti westerns, which I had no idea that it was like Italian filmmaker, I guess, right? And he did a lot of the Clint Eastwood movies too, the different ones, High Plains Drifter. But that was kind of their theme, and it was an Italian restaurant, and they had Italian food with spaghetti westerns playing on the wall. That was kind of cool. Thank you, Jeff, very, very much, and thanks for all you do, and great net on Friday night too. It was wonderful. And at the bottom of my list, let's see if we have anyone else that didn't make it in and like to give it a try. And we're here to take you in. W6CJX Net Control for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. Please come now.
Foxtrot Golf with
KO6 PKX.
I got Steve and I got Evo, and there might have been a third. If you're not Steve or Evo and you tried just now, come back.
Kilo Oscar 6 Delta Golf X-Ray, Rick on All-Star.
All right, we picked up Rick. Good to hear you tonight, Rick. Okay, let's say hello to Steve, WA6FGW. And I did hear about Rich's memorial. But go ahead, Steve, and give us anything you got. I bet you saw some good stuff going up the 395 there on the Eastern Sierras. A lot of good places. Go ahead.
Okay, very good there, Bob. This is WA6 Foxtrot Golf Whiskey, and try to keep it in some sort of order. We did attend the memorial service. It was very nicely done. A couple of the family members had a few things to say, and that sort of whatnot. People from his Corvette club, a couple of them were there, and several people from the repeater. And I think it was one of those. It was kind of a shocker, and everyone made assumptions probably that someone else would make necessary contact regarding it.
But anyway, that's water over the dam at this point. But anyway, he will be missed for sure. Anyway, going up Route 395, yeah, I applaud whoever was mentioning, well, actually, it might have been yourself, what do you call it? Right there at Lone Pine. Yeah, it's escaping me right now. But yeah, they've got a whole thing up there. And by the way, they once a year have a convention that might be worthwhile if someone really is interested in the cowboy syndrome, is to go up there. And Alabama Hills, I guess, light up like crazy as far as, having people give tours, and there's a driving tour that you can take all by yourself, and a couple little maps, I believe, and you can get a chance to look at some of the spots that were filmed in some major TV movies, or major movies, period. Alrighty, let's see, what else? So that's worthwhile. And, when we used to do the old Baker to Vegas thing, there was, we'd oftentimes make a point of checking out some of the what do they call those? Where haunted mansions and whatnot on the way up. And there's a few over in the Death Valley area, but not a whole lot over on 395 that I remember. But I bet you if you Google it, you'd probably find some. I was just going to jump on and say a quick hello. Thanks for doing the net. And I'm not sure how much was mentioned about Malibu Creek State Park. Obviously, you got the MASH set, which is the primo item there. But I remember actually visiting there back when I was first here in California. And they had one of those water ponds that are designed for big armada, filming of World War II, and this and that. And that was still in existence. It didn't have any water in it, but I did manage to see that, and I think I got some pictures someplace. So hopefully I'll get a chance to run across those in my trials of figuring out what to do with myself during retirement. Anyway, back to you, and there's been quite a number of other movies in Malibu Creek State Park, and they have some of them in pictures at the Visitor Center. Back to you, Bob.
Well, great to hear you tonight, Steve. And, yeah, I think they actually did Planet of the Apes, or at least part of it there. And there's that pool, when you mention the water and stuff, there's that pool where everybody seems to dive in and get hurt pretty much on a daily basis in the summertime, or when there's water. I know the search and rescue has to go out there quite a bit, LA County, just because of people getting hurt. But, yeah, I think that some of those areas right in there they used for different scenes. They'll go there and they'll film for a couple days, and they'll move somewhere else. And then every once in a while you'll see one of these B-rated horror movies where it's always young teenagers at a cabin in the woods, and some guy comes after them, and it's the same thing over and over again. It seems like, anyway. But you'll notice, like, some of the oak trees and some of that flat area there and there are a lot of commercials, too. And the number one commercial spot for cars, and probably people that know can see it, is Point Mugu. And Point Mugu is just famous for that. It's just constantly they're doing filming there. I've been there when they've done some, and sometimes they'll just have the highway patrol just stop traffic or the camera car going down there and filming it. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of fun. But you get to see the great sand dune there, and sometimes the rock. It's very iconic on almost every car commercial you see. Just look for it. It's there. And let's see, hello to Evo, K06BKX, and see what he's up to tonight besides pushing buttons. Welcome.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, there had been a number of high rain events that were in that part of the country, and I recall back when my son was about 12 years old, we hiked in with a, an inflatable raft, And so we inflated it, and first went for a little kick around the lake that's from the dam up above level, and then we drag it down below into the rock pool area, and paddled all the way back towards back to the parking lot. WA6F2W Claire.
That must have been when we had water before we had water again. And that was probably a few years ago. But I remember kind of going out at least that far on a hike or something one time, and when there was plenty of water there, it was kind of a neat place. Yeah, great. We've got so many super cool places around here. That's the thing. It's fun to be here, but it's also, you can kind of forget that all that stuff took place, you know. Lone Ranger in Chatsworth, who knows, right? Maybe he'll show up at Lulu's one day. All right, thank you, Steve, and let's say hello to Evo KO6BKX.
Hey, good evening, Bob. KO6BKX Evo here in Tustin, coming in on Papa 3. As you know already, Bob, I do not do movies very much, and of course I have never been able to go to a set, never had really any interest, but that aside, of course, I do know John Wayne living in Orange County, and I seem to remember that back in 2004, when I first came to the U.S., my cousin gave me a tour, and as we were driving to her in-laws, she said that, she said that John Wayne was their neighbor. And I always took that with me, and of course, I was thinking I can bring this up on the net tonight, but I wanted to verify with my cousin if that was actually true, because I don't remember his parents living in Newport Beach. So she told me that it was not John Wayne. John Wayne was an acquaintance of the in-laws, but Jose Feliciano was their neighbor. So now, since the beginning of the net, I can only see John Wayne riding a horse singing Feliz Navidad. I don't know if you can imagine it, but I have a hard time getting it out of my head. All right, Bob, I'll give it back to you with this. Great net. Really appreciate everybody chiming in and talking about those things that I've never seen, but I really enjoy listening to it. Back to you, Bob, KO6BKX.
Oh, boy. I'm not going to get that one out of my head. You can't unsee that.
Good evening. My name's Wayne.
Okay. Thank you, John. I thought you were going to say something about his boat. We went down, Carolyn and I went to the Newport Harbor, I guess, and we took our company. This is when our company used to do things. That's when companies used to do things for their employees, I should say. Oh, my gosh. And we got too big and they couldn't do it anymore. I think it was called the Grey Goose. I might be confusing that with the bottle of vodka, but it was his boat, and it was like one of the military boats that he converted, and it was just beautiful inside. It actually had a poker table in the back. I think on the top side you could do walk around. We had dinner on it. It was just a wonderful cruise, and I believe it's still there, and people can take that out, probably either as a group or maybe just buy individual tickets on it, but that was fun. So I thought that's what you were going to say. And then when you said Feliz, Jose, Christmas must have been very cool around there, listening to Jose over there singing Feliz Navidad. Great song. That's Christmas for sure. All right, thank you, Evo, and for all you do, and you do, and you do. And I'm not echoing because it's just a lot. You do a lot. Thank you. Rick, KO6DGX, welcome.
Hey, my friend. I checked in late, had no clue what you guys were talking about, dry ponds and some other stuff. Then Evo comes in, and now I can't get the image out of my head of Jose Feliciano. Instead of having a Tommy gun, he's got his little, classical guitar, and he's storming the beaches of Iwo Jima. So somehow I know we got off into, movies, and just want to tell you, my history with movies as an elevator man. We've talked about our careers before, and when I was in downtown LA, one of my duties in my company kept throwing this to me. It was like a luxury. They were being cool to me. But I had to do this stuff called movie standby. So all these different movie studios would be shooting in downtown LA, but they would be in these high-rise buildings, and the buildings would be closed for them shooting, but they needed to have an elevator man on standby. They're standing there doing nothing unless the elevator broke. So I got to do a bunch of these standbys, and sometimes it would be like overnight. There's something called craft services. Loved craft services because it's like it's a really cool catering truck that all the crew gets to go up to anytime you're ready for food, and you get to order for free and eat out of craft services. And then other little perks on the set. Well, there were many. It was just interesting, but some of the people I was on set with would be like John Travolta, Nicolas Cage, the old timers, Sid Caesar, Danny Thomas, and Milton Berle. So I had to get on top of this elevator because Milton Berle was too weak at this, late stage in his life. There was a scene where he had to lift this gate on a freight elevator, but he couldn't lift it. So I had to stand on the top of the elevator, look down, and as they're shooting the scene, and when I see Milton Berle reach down and pull up on that strap, I had to manually lift the gate up above it. But man, movies are pretty interesting. So thanks for the topic, K6DGX.
That was great. When you said elevator man, it reminded me of the Boingo song, Boingo Boingo Elevator Man. Very, very cool. No, I knew you did the elevators. I find that fascinating. I was a service tech and service engineer, whatever you want to call us, driving all over the place too. So not doing elevators, but that probably would scare me a little bit too much. But I do appreciate sharing that. Yeah, I never. And of course, everyone loves craft services. Sometimes, I guess, if you're on a set too much, you get a little tired of that. Got to run out and go to Burger King or somewhere. But you can only eat so many bagels and things like that. But how would I know that? I'm not even in the business. All right, with that, I think we're going to go ahead and close the net with Rick's check-in. I want to thank everyone for checking in with us tonight, including the Cricket and John. Thank you, John. Mr. Wayne there was a guest appearance and did a fine job with that. So with that, I guess, what else have I got to say? Have a great week ahead. And like I said, don't forget we do have the San Diego Luncheon coming up next Saturday and down in San Diego at Casina del Charro. And have some great Mexican food down there. So everyone have a great night. And we're going to thank everyone in the Papa system, just all at one time, with one big lump. Thank you, and the Cecil and the whole team. W6CGX closing the net at 2133, and returning the frequency and repeaters back to normal amateur use. Thank y'all for coming on by and sitting a spell. Did appreciate it very much.